I graduated from Oakton High School, class of '81. Now, I've always enjoyed going to the reunions and other alumni events. So when I heard that leading up to our 30th reunion in 2011, we'd be having numerous happy hours to get everybody excited and involved, I thought that was great. I got to reconnect with a number of old friends from high school, and I also got to meet a lot of people I went to high school with but didn't know. And I can tell you that now I'm probably closer with people from high school that I didn't know in high school than those that I did. Now, from those happy hours, I became close to one person. Her name was Colleen. Now, I knew who she was in high school, but I didn't know her in high school. And we became really good platonic friends. We would do a lot of stuff together, and we would talk on the phone several times a week. She was actually one of the most giving people that I knew. She would always invite me and others over to her home for dinner. She was a really good cook. Now, the one thing that I remember the most about her, and that gives me the best memories, was this flight that me and my buddy and her took down to Orlando. She had told me that she was afraid of flying, and but she had a really good experience when she got to meet the captain before the flight. Now, our flight was on United, and that's who I worked for, so I was able to get with the flight office and contact the captain. And he came up to the boarding area and took the three of us down on the plane way before anybody else boarded, and brought us into the cockpit, put her in the captain's seat, and then explained everything about the flight. It really made for made it ease, put her at ease, and made for a great flight for all of us. My favorite picture of her is actually one I took that day of her sitting in the captain's seat with the captain's hat on. But Colleen had lived a pretty tough life. She was a cancer survivor. About the time that I connected with her, she had been diagnosed with diabetes. And what really worried me, she really didn't take care of herself that well. She smoked and she drank too much. In fact, her answer for diabetes and drinking was to change from rum and Coke to rum and Diet Coke. That really worried me, and she would forget to eat on the weekends and take her meds. In fact, one Sunday night we went to dinner, and I probably had to pick her up off the ground a couple of times because she got so lightheaded from not taking her meds and not eating over the weekend. But through all of this, her constant companion was her dog, a black lab she called Scuba. Now, she had gotten Scuba when Scuba was a pup, and Scuba had been her companion through all of the tough times. Now, when I connected with her, Scuba was maybe 14 or 15 years old, was really struggling to actually even walk. And it was taking a physical toll on Colleen. She would have to carry Scuba up a flight of about 10 stairs after their daily walk. So I used a couple of my work buddy passes to bring our mutual high school friend Deborah up from Austin, Texas. Now, Deborah is an expert in pet physical therapy, and she came up to help Colleen out and wrote this huge journal. And it worked for probably about 5 or 6 weeks, but Scuba was just getting older. Now, a couple weeks after Deborah's visit, the friendship between me and Colleen took a turn for the worse. I had met up with another high school friend who lives on the Eastern Shore in Annapolis. And when Colleen found out that, and we had to invite her, she got really mad. She sent a Facebook post out that said that we weren't really true friends, and we stabbed her in the back. Now, that really hurt me because I didn't even know that she wanted to go. So I decided I was going to have to pull back a little bit, maybe not call her as often. Now, a couple weeks after that, she wrote to me and told me that she had to make the decision to put Scuba down. And I knew that this was going to be really tough because they were so close. Now, I have to admit that dynamics between pets and pet owners is a little bit, I don't really understand it because I've never owned pets. But I knew that I'd have to be a sounding board. And I figured that her mourning period would be maybe 6 weeks at the most. But this lasted all the way into the fall. Our phone conversations morphed from actual conversations, just hour-long crying sessions, and I was just there to listen to. I mean, she didn't even ask me how I was doing for most of those times. At the time I was working on a midnight shift, and she would be calling me all through the day and all through the night. I mean, there were several 3 o'clock phone calls that came to me. I didn't really know how to handle it that well, but other than to just listen. Well, the whole thing came to a head in early November, around my 50th birthday. My dad had planned a birthday function for me and my friends in Arlington, and I invited her, invited a bunch of friends. And she had been telling me how excited she was to be coming, like 2 weeks in advance, all the way up to the day, and she said she was on her way. Now, she never showed, and I had 2 emotions about that. First was worry, because I didn't know, was she sick? Was she in a ditch? Who knows? The other, I have to admit, was a little bit of relief, because I didn't know what kind of frame of mind she was in. I remember one of my friends told me, when she starts calling you, don't take the calls, at least at first, because she's going to really be hitting you with those. I thought that was a good idea, and that's what I did. The phone call started, but then they slowed down to a stop. About a month later, right before Christmas, she wrote me a letter, and she said, "Bill, I'll never forgive you for turning your back on me. Your friends are leeching off you. I would never do that. Goodbye." And that was it. That was probably the last time I ever talked to her. She had unfriended me, so we would have cordial back and forth emails occasionally, usually around the holidays or around her birthday in February. Then in February of 2014, I wrote to her a birthday greeting like I always did, and she wrote me back and said, "Bill, I really miss our friendship, and if you're up for it, I'd like to reconnect." And I thought that was a good idea. And as I was about to write the letter to do that, I was getting messages from other friends asking me, "Bill, what's going on with Colleen?" And I said, I don't know what's going on. I haven't talked to her in about 1.5 years. Well, I come to find out that she was gravely ill. She had slipped into a coma, and her organs were shutting down. And I knew that the end was near. And I was really upset, because I could have brought our friendship back together, and I failed to do it. She died a couple days later, and I knew that I needed to go to the memorial service, so I called one of her sisters. She had 3 sisters. I called her and asked her if there's anything I could do, help out in any way. And I got a very cold and curt response. It made me think for a second, maybe I'm not welcome there. Well, I knew that I had to go, and I did. And it was such a sad service for me, because it was a friendship that I could have brought back together, and I failed to do it. Not that it would have done anything about her physical condition, but it was also sad because it was for a life that was lost way too soon. But after the service was over, one of her other sisters came over, and she said, "Bill, we're so glad you came." She always talked about how much she loved your friendship. And don't worry about being unfriended. She did that to everybody, all of us. So that made me feel really good, because as I had to move on, I knew that our friendship was still there. And it was just as strong as it had been, even though we hadn't verbalized it. So as I think about her often, and especially around her birthday, but at least I knew as I moved on and marched ahead that my friendship was still there from the very beginning. Thank you.